Good evening once again. Thank you for joining us for the 10 o'clock edition of the UBC News Tonight. My name is Wadulo, Anold, Mark and Dorothy Namuyomba on sign language. Without further ado, let's get straight into the bulletin. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has challenged religious leaders to embrace the late Pope Francis, who preached unity in diversity and, regardless of his initial pontification, being a Catholic, but rather chose to be a servant of humanity and the universe. President Museveni was addressing Christians at the inauguration of All Saints Church in Sembabule district. More details in this report.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has commissioned All Saints Church in Sembabule district. Accompanied by the first daughter, the president has been received in Sembabule by former Foreign Affairs Minister Sam Kutesa. The newly constructed multi-million church falls under the West Buganda Diocese, and it is an idea of the Sam Kutesa family.
We want to express our gratitude towards you for the constant support that you've been giving to our church and the diocese in particular.
Your Excellency, this church is built for two main reasons. The major reason is in memory and thanks to our parents who received salvation and accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior and spread the gospel in this part of the world.
So I want to really thank the Honorable Sam Kutesa for building this church because of those two reasons which he told you. Because it is important for the new people to know the history, where we came from. So this church is like a symbol, a reminder, because we shall not be there, we shall go away, but if somebody writes what has happened today here and puts it on record, the future generations will know.
Addressing the congregation, the church couldn't hold its appreciation towards the president for his continued support towards the church and country at large.
Yotukoledde gegamu ku masomero gaffe go wadde obuyambi erimu kulyo nga yekako junior school watuwa obuyambi essomero eryo ne lirongoosebwa.
Thank you very much for the peace, stability and security prevailing in our country. Kubanga olwekyo waliwo freedom of worship.
To it is attested that the first family has been at the forefront of sowing the seed of evangelism in Uganda.
Allow me to thank you very much for allowing your own daughter, our sister, Pastor Patience Museveni Rwabogo, to preach the gospel in this country.
I therefore want to thank Manish Kataha Museveni and his family for building churches, not only here.
The event was graced by a cross-section of leaders, both from government and the faith.
Baza owekitiibwa President wa Uganda, tukwagala, tukusabira, tujja kuwagira, tusaba Katonda w'omugulu ayongere okuwa emikisa, ate weebale nnyo ky'otukoledde, n'ofisaawo obudde, n'ojja n'otulaba, n'ogulawo ekkanisa yaffe, n'otuwa ekitiibwa.
Referring to the late Pontiff Pope Francis' gesture of embracing all races of humanity, regardless of their religious affiliations, President Museveni has noted with concerns that the current world no longer has space for religious differences and bickerings.
The conflicts among religions is ungodly for people who believe in God. It's not godly. When you see people pushing we as this against the, you are not religious, you are satanic. Nze nabagamba era nudde mbagamba nti Yesu nze ndaba yalina yakola ebintu bina wano ku nsi. Ekisooka yabuulira enjiri, preach the gospel. Ekyokubiri yawonya abalwadde, kubanga ebyo byonna si byakwogera, biwandiike byonna ebyo. Ekyokusatu yaliisa abali enjala, he fed the hungry.
Robert Onyango, UBC News.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has addressed a public rally at Sembabule playgrounds in Sembabule Town Council, Sembabule District, where he emphasized the need for irrigation, pasture planting and modern farming practices to boost agricultural productivity and stabilize markets. He urged farmers to embrace irrigation and plant pasture for their animals to ensure consistent milk and food production. He also noted that this approach would help Ugandans maintain a reliable agricultural supply of agricultural products like milk and coffee.
Don't worry, I will struggle with my Uganda, don't worry.
Shortly after commissioning All Saints Church Sembabule, President Museveni turned his attention to a one-day wave creation drive in the area. The whole-day gathering was drawn across the entire Sembabule district, including its neighborhood.
Your Excellency, next for Tebatwara, mu north, mu south, bwe twegattira wamu nga Honorable Okuteesa bw'ayogedde, tugenda kubeera muntu omu era tukinuunula.
Abantu b'e Sembabule n'emiriraano n'abagenyi mwenna abadde wano okutweyungako okwaniriza pulezidenti waffe, tubasanyukidde. Mukama wange pulezidenti, njagala kukwebaza ne sekwebaza yenna olw'okujja n'omala wano olunaku olulamba. Okedde n'ojja n'oggulawo ekkanisa yaffe amakula, n'oyogera, n'obeera n'abantu baawo, n'obeera n'ab'amadiini.
Naye emitima twagenda ne tufuna tractor excavator abalunzi baffe ne tubasimira valley dams 28, ezo nazo zikoze bulungi lwakuba abantu baffe eno tuli balimi, tuli balunzi, twagala amazzi. Kikulu nnyo gye tuli. Ssebo ow'ekitiibwa, tulina kaakati twafuna ekizibu kya FMD, naye nakyo twakigoberera ne tuyita abakulembeze wali ku district ne tugamba bino tebijja kubya bya DVO yekka.
After local leaders' addresses, the president was invited to address the general public.
Tasi wagambye ntemiruka mu 62 bwatyo bwagambye nti muli emiruka 62. Kati ekinaatako kwe kumanya nti buli muluka walimu amaka ameka. Kati zino sente zetusindise eza PDM milioni 1 buli maka buli mwaka, amaka meka agafunye ate amaka meka agasigaddeyo. Bwe kyetaagisa okwongera mu sente tuyinza kwongera mu sente.
According to the president, Macha's Sembabule communities have zeroed much energies in cattle keeping. Agriculture should be another path through.
Eno mu byalo kwe kubagamba nti mukozesa obulimi n'obulunzi n'okulunda ebyennyanja okweja mu bwavu. Ate bwe muba mukola.
However, President Museveni also called on the communities to embrace proper usage of their lands.
Abalima kasooli
alisibwa enkoko be bano bannaffe abalina amataka amanene.
And maybe soya beans.
N'okusimba soya beans naye abeera mulungi, enkoko zimulya naffe abantu.
Like even sunflower seeds.
N'entungo nayo ekola ku mmere y'enkoko era n'ekuffa abantu.
Highlighting the importance of preparedness for drought seasons, President Museveni urged farmers to embrace irrigation and plant pasture for their animals to ensure constant milk and food production throughout the year.
This is irrigation.
Ekigambo ky'okufukirira.
Because in the dry season, the coffee is somehow disrupted.
Atugambye naddala mu budde obw'ekyeya emmwanyi zaffe.
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni pronounced himself on the permanent solutions to address tensions and disputes between two communities, the Japadola and Iteso in Tororo district. The president considered the move to divide Tororo into 3 new districts and Tororo City. The president's pronouncement has raised mixed reactions as some beneficiaries welcomed the move while others remain skeptical. Daniel Mugoya talks to some experts and sought an opinion on their way.
We come into Buganda and we do not claim part of Buganda as our own. We do not claim Luganda that, that part of the Chiganda literature was our net contribution. We just live in diversity in Buganda.
The status quo seemed to end the decade-long dispute and tension between the Japadola and the Iteso communities of Tororo district.
The leaders slept on the job, but leadership was dead. Because of leaders and leadership are slightly different concepts, but they're interrelated. If there was a leadership, the grievances of the minority communities, if they existed, would have been seen and addressed. If there was a leadership, the majority communities, if they were taking their roles of leadership irresponsibly, because leadership comes with responsibility.
A neutral Tororo city and 3 new districts of Mulanda, Mukuju and another name yet to be identified will cause the earlier Tororo district no more. The debate has returned after President Yoweri Museveni readdressed the decade-long dispute and tension between 2 communities, the Itesots and the Japadola, all living in Tororo district.
At a personal level, I was not looking at it as a personal issue, as an issue because I represent everyone there. But some of our elders were now using this for political score. And don't be surprised when some people don't return back.
The proposed Mukuju district and Tororo city could address the deep-seated issues inclusive of the boundaries which accommodate Tororo municipality. This has been in the shelf since 2005 when Tororo County was elevated to a district status but was rejected due to unresolved boundaries.
Where we had reached, it was now upon the executive and particularly His Excellency the President to pronounce where the boundary of the then Mukuju was. I have actually been the one suffering because either side, when I speak to the Batesos, the Japs actually looked at me as a mole, and they always called me one who favored the Bateso.
The pronouncement leaves doubt on the fate of the identity of the Japadola, whose position hails from Tororo district since living in diversity has seemingly failed to be adhered to by the 2 cultural groups. In the 2014 census report, Tororo district population was about 517,080 and projected to increase to about 636,629 by 2022. As the 2024 census data is being processed, therefore it seems when Tororo district is split, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics 2024 National Housing and Population Census data will be compromised. How about the political lens to maximize votes and political positions?
There are people who believed that they would benefit from further breakup because they would get constituencies for themselves, and both parliamentary and otherwise. And I also know people who thought in creating those constituencies they'll be running away from their potential opponents within NRA and NRM.
Certainly, there are people who are happy that now they have been able to move away from contesting with Saro Pendi. They will be in their own areas and now they have a chance of coming to Parliament because previously, in the one big district, their chances were slim.
The question of whether the pronouncement by the president, if adopted, will end the disputes remains in balance.
We actually hope that if politicians do not incite the population, then this will definitely end the long-standing disputes between the people of West Budama and the people of Tororo County, because I have already seen some politicians claiming that this city, which was granted, is theirs and does not belong to particular people. Others should go away. So if these don't happen, then we shall be peaceful.
Maybe that's a question to someone from Mukuju. Maybe that's a question to Geoffrey Kanya, who nearly wanted to commit suicide here, Ujame Geoffrey, in our national parliament. Maybe that's or to the other guy who wanted to do the rat, you know.
Nevertheless, the projected new status could enhance service delivery and infrastructure development, although similar services would be improved without dividing the district.
Tororo was the second most industrialized town after Jinja. Most of Tororo, which is being clamored for, is like a slum. Tororo is one of the big districts that existed that has not had a single new tarmacked new.
I've been using my little resources to run around the 42 sub-counties. But also, the district was receiving 1 billion shillings, for example, for the road network. It has over 600 kilometers of road network. Now, that is 1 billion shillings, while smaller districts like Ngora and others have been receiving the same 1 billion.
When government has done its part to create, there are so many development partners who also come on board. As a country, we realize revenue and then apportion this revenue to the new administrative unit.
Meanwhile, in his speech, President Yoweri Museveni cites that the disputes have stalled developments in Tororo district, urging the stakeholders and leaders to focus on development.
What we want is service to the people. Because you fellows, you are preserving the backwardness in that area. You said the land is small. It's not small. That land, I normally drive. I see land there. It is a bit sandy, but it can be worked on, and you create prosperity for our people.
The initiative is also looked at as a precedent set, as other regions will want to use the same channel to seek for similar results.
In fact, this should not be done in piecemeal. We have waited for long for the creation of Soy as a district, and the president knows this very well.
However, in the other instance, when new cities are created, the name of the mother district remains, but Tororo district will be no more.
I want to caution, and let me say this, I want to caution the Minister of Local Government on the question of the name Tororo, because I heard them saying that Tororo as a name should be erased. Why? Tororo is a Kalenjin name. In Tororo, it is not only about the Jabadola and the Itesot. We have the indigenous Sabines who are in that particular area.
It wouldn't matter. Or you can have Tororo City and Mukuju. So there is really nothing big, because there was Tororo County, which now we have broken into city and something else. So you can, whichever you decide, it doesn't matter. Whichever you decide, the crucial points are two. The naming doesn't matter. What matters is the city is now neutral. Secondly, you create two administrative units on the Badama side.
This discussion is amid concerns by a section of society that the size of parliament needs to be sliced.
For me, it does not affect so much the national budget, because we are looking at services closer to the people. And these services, they must come through representation.
Because despite creating a district, if Parliament adopts the principle of one member of Parliament per a given population, then that does not affect us in any way. it will definitely reduce the number.
So with the breakup of Tororo, there are 3 new districts. That means 3 new members of parliament for women. The rest of the other, if there is a municipality, the municipality will have a member of parliament, and almost certainly, therefore, that district will have more than one direct, yeah. So there may be up to 3 members of parliament.
For now, Parliament and the executive will pronounce themselves on the position when the proposed districts and Tororo City will be matured. But to take note, some cities which were approved by Parliament have never taken off.
Of course, that is a question to the executive, because this was a discussion between us and the president. Now we expect the Minister of Local Government to formally table these resolutions before Cabinet. Cabinet has to make a decision, and then it comes to Parliament.
Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
Thank you, Daniel, for that insightful piece. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development has engaged editors and reporters from different media houses to train them in generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises project. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Agre Chibenge, told journalists that GROW project money is not all for women.
Yes, all right.
The purpose of the training is to change the public perception on the GROW Project Fund.
The way the GROW loans are structured, the moment you pick the money, you agree with the bank how you are going to be paid back. And some start immediately on monthly basis. You must be paying back money to the bank. Others agree quarterly, that every quarter you compute what you will have paid monthly, consolidated, and paid back quarterly. Now, for somebody who has no business at all, how are you going to be able to pay back money monthly or quarterly? We are hearing of long lines because the message that has gone out there is that there is money for women under GROW. And every woman, some have stayed in these lines all day, only to get to the counter to be served and be told, no, you wouldn't qualify because you don't have A, B, C, D. Some don't even have a bank account where they have kept even 500,000. They are in the line for GROW money. Because the perception of our people is that once government brings money, that is money for the women. And anybody who stands between them and the money is an enemy of these people.
The Private Sector Foundation Uganda, that's responsible of the disbursement of the funds, confirms that over 50 billion shillings has been lent out to women.
But I want to emphasize that GROW loans is not for every woman. It is only for business women. We have lent out over 50 billion. That is as of December 2024. But we'll be releasing in the next coming few weeks the new figures.
Besides loans, GROW Project has rolled out other innovations to help women in value addition and cooperative production.
The good policy work on the child care perspective. We have realized that there's not really strong policy child care from 0 to 3, so women end up carrying their kids, putting them under the stall in the market. And so GROW, and this I really need to thank Ministry, but also PSFU, they've done a very good analysis, and we're trying with GROW to have some child care facilities in different parts of the country.
GROW Project Fund is a grant given by the World Bank to the government of Uganda to support women enterprises.
As all of us can fit.
Students and members of the Rwandan Students Association from all universities across Uganda gathered at Bugema University for the 31st commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The day began with a symbolic memorial walk around Bugema University campus, a procession aimed at honoring the memory of more than 1 million lives that were lost during the genocide. These are the details.
Students moved quietly through the campus, carrying candles and placards bearing messages of unity in remembrance of the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. After the walk, candles were lit and prayers were held. In attendance was His Excellency Colonel Joseph Rutabana, the Rwandan High Commissioner to Uganda, who delivered a keynote address. He urged the youth to remain vigilant and to reject divisive ideologies that fueled the genocide.
It is a time to recommit to international principles like the 1948 UN Convention on the prevention and punishment of genocide, and to demand accountability from states harboring genocide fugitives or enabling it. As the Rwandan diaspora and global community gather, like we are gathering today, for this year's commemorative event, the message is clear. Silence is complicity. Whether through education, justice, or diplomacy, we each have a role to play in uprooting genocide ideology wherever it takes root.
He noted that Rwanda has since moved beyond the dark days of the genocide, embracing reconciliation, resilience, and rebuilding as the foundation for the nation's continued growth.
It was about themselves, to get themselves out of this ditch. They knew that the solution had to be homegrown. And we can't thank God enough for such a vision as that still as present as this day is. We celebrate the peace that is within Rwanda.
A memorial lecture followed where scholars and genocide survivors shared reflections on Rwanda's journey from tragedy to recovery.
I want us to keep these memories of those who have lost their life to guide us towards a better Rwanda, a better Africa, and a better world at large.
Students were encouraged to be ambassadors of peace and to carry forward the lessons of Kwibuka to future generations. Cayenne Faith, Juma Nsamba, BBC.
The Assistant Commissioner in charge of Monitoring and Evaluation and NSPC, Dr. Brenda Tibamwera, has appealed to youth to contribute to the country's development. She was representing Commissioner Helen Sekou at the Good Samaritan High School students' pass out after completing an elementary level patriotism development course.
The ceremony was marked by a display of patriotic songs, dances and poems, showcasing the students' creativity and enthusiasm, as over 1,374 students from Good Samaritan High School, Nansana, completed the elementary level patriotism development course. The Assistant Commissioner in charge of Monitoring and Evaluation, Dr. Brenda Tibamwera, who represented the Commissioner Helen Sekou, said that patriotism is about putting the interest of the nation above individual interests.
Your country. But if you have no values, then we have no values in our country. It's a true home by being true to yourselves. Love yourself so much that it hurts. Avoid doing what is wrong.
RDC Nansana Municipality Charles Luanga commended the students for their commitment to the course.
It's not RDC, not even the Speaker of Parliament, not even our chief guest. Teachers, these teachers you see, do a lot of good work. They mentor you, they instill discipline in you, so you must respect them at all times. In 3, you must be morally upright.
The Director Local Operations at Back to the Bible Truth Ministries, Moses Stephen, encouraged the students to remain steadfast in their commitment to serving their country.
I want to thank the government of Uganda, our president, about 2 things. One, the first thing is about new curriculum. We want to appreciate it for that.
The event concluded with a call to action for students to become active citizens who contribute to the growth and development of Uganda. patriotism training course covered topics on national values, principles and history, as well as the role of citizens in promoting development and good governance.
The Vicar Church of the Resurrection in Bugolobi, Reverend Emmanuel Kalagala, has tasked Christians to uphold Christians' values as an attribute to clear living. This was during the celebrations to mark St. Mary's Day, honoring Mary, the Mother of Jesus Christ, at the Church of the Resurrection in Bugolobi, in the theme, Building a Legacy of Faith.
Celebration and spiritual renewal at the Church of Resurrection in Bugolobi, as believers honored the legacy of Mary, the Mother of Jesus Christ. On the theme, Building a Legacy of Faith, Reverend Emmanuel Kalagala, the Vicar of the Church, urged Christians to live a long, unwavering faith.
We have taken this with the mind of our year's theme as Church of Uganda, taken from Galatians 6, 9 and 10. Imitating God's goodness by doing good. The only reward that we can give our nation and the world at large is to build a legacy that is positive and will last forever and ever. And that is how the people will remember us, being good to them and to everybody in this world.
During the celebration, 17 new members were welcomed into Mothers Union, a fellowship committed to upholding Christian family values.
I am here just to let all the ladies out there know that Mothers Union is not for the elder women, even the young women. We are here and we're taking leadership, but we follow, we look up to the older women, and they teach us how to manage our marriages, raise children in a godly manner. We are our sister's keeper. We pray with each other.
The main preacher, Reverend Canon Diana Nkesiga, emphasized building a legacy of faith with commitment, sacrifice, and trust in God.
My parents' legacy was very simple, and I have found it very easy to live it out because my parents lived it out. You do not, you just do not disrespect anybody in this life. Being from a different educational background, a different tribe, to respect everybody. Treat them with dignity. Clap for my parents.
There was a renewed commitment among the faithful to nurture their families and communities in Christ's teachings.
I'm so excited that today we have celebrated Mary's Day and we've enrolled new members. We thank God for the ministry of Mothers Union.
I also take this opportunity to congratulate others in the 7 parishes who have enrolled today in the different parishes. I congratulate you and I request you to stay in fellowship.
We look forward to edifying each other as we minister in this ministry of Mothers Union.
With your love and use them for your glory.
Ugandans are urged to embrace a giving culture to strengthen their economy to withstand financial shocks after the Trump regime's cut on foreign aid. Apostle John Bunjo believes that Ugandans and Africans can self-sustain themselves if wealthy individuals embrace a culture of generosity.
United States moved to reduce aid to Africa, citing various reasons, among others the shift in her foreign policy. The reduced aid continues to impact Africa's development, especially in critical sectors like healthcare, education, and infrastructure growth.
Most of the Western countries, from Europe to America, Australia, their ancestors, they were not mean. They were men and women of the Bible who taught giving, not just giving because you want to give something. So I want to urge everybody here. Some of us are complaining, you said Trump closed, you said blah, blah, blah. But we have people here.
Apostle Bunjo was presiding over the events at the Way to Heaven Church as it marked its 15th anniversary, celebrating a decade and a half of spiritual growth.
When we started over 15 years ago, when Pastor Doreen Kamese left my Bible school, Restoration Bible College, we planted here. Basically not planted by Muzungu, whatever, we planted here. It's good to see 15 years down the road, things are happening. Our theme today was about grace in giving.
The church that started in 2007 in my one room on Kawara Road. We started in Kawara Road, but now we are in Ntinda City. I want to thank the Lord so much for his goodness, for his faithfulness. He has been faithful to us. I just want to advise my fellow pastors that please, if you are not called by God, if you are not appointed or anointed by God, go back on your knees and ask God what he created you to do. If you are called by God, God will provide for you. So don't fake people. Don't do what? Don't steal from them. We are supposed to be true, and we are supposed to be examples of God. We trusted him with all our heart, and we are still trusting him. By trusting God, we have seen him providing. By trusting God, we have seen him saving his souls. By trusting God, we have seen him answering all our prayers. So in 15 years, we have not put anything of our own. So we are here not by our power, not by our mighty, but by the Spirit of God that is on us and is on this place. I can assure you we are here in 15 years. We have not paid rent for this place. We have been here freely, and I believe we are still here in Jesus' mighty name. So I want to thank the Lord who has kept us in this place and who has saved our souls in Jesus' mighty name.
Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
The founder of aerospace sector Uganda, Captain Lubega Alston, has urged engineers and stakeholders to think creatively and develop practical solutions to real-world problems. This was during the Innovation and Aviation Conference at Makerere University School of Public Health. We do beg your pardon. Leaders managing different groups of city cleaners in Kampala have appealed to allocate 20 billion shillings to facilitate the desilting of water channels, landscaping and paying outstanding wages for city cleaners. The Deputy Executive Director, KCCA Benon Moses Chigenyi, said that the budget made the revelation during the presentation of the budget framework paper for KCCA for the financial year 2025-2026. Now, as Farida Nafoka reports, the authority is optimistic that if government can identify the 20 billion shillings, it will help in keeping a clean and smart city.
Kampala is the capital city of Uganda. However, cleaning the capital city has always been a contentious issue. Over time, Kampala has been cleaned by groups of community circles from the 5 divisions of Kampala who are not on contract but working as casual laborers for KCCA. These clean the city, desilt drainage channels, plus doing landscaping. This arrangement of a reservation scheme was meant to support vulnerable women like those living with HIV and AIDS and the widow and a living. However, in 2022, another group of the youth came up to also engage in cleaning the city, and these are known as 7 Hills, which brought about confusion.
We got some other schemers who wanted to chase away these single mothers and widows, phase them out of this sector, and they brought on board a team of young men called 7 Hill. they came for us. We thought we would have a mechanism to have the two coexist and work side by side. We wanted to have a harmonization matrix.
Plan. It was now agreed that in every division, all these divisions are divided into constituencies, two constituencies. So in Machinde, for example, Seven Hills was now given Machinde West constituency, and the community circle was given Machinde East. That is how we've been managed to balance the boat, and that is why somehow there is harmony going on in the city. And
the manager, Seven Hills Makindye Hopamayo, says Seven Hills comprises of the vulnerable youth from within Kampala.
Around the lockdown, now the people who were originally cleaning the city, remember everyone was under a lockdown. And now the market, the people who were working in the markets were open. Now the city got dirtier and dirtier. What happened was that this team that was led by Commander Menton, we call him Commander Menton, it's called 001, started an initiative of bringing this marginalized community together, and now they began to clean the city. In essence, they were actually cleaning their homes, the trenches in which they were sleeping.
To harmonize, Kampala Capital City Authority had to give all the groups they subscribe to contracts. Available statistics with KCCA indicate that they have 4,000 cleaners, with 2,500 in community circles and 2,800 in Seven Hills Cooperative Society. However, the challenge at play, the contracts only run for 1 year and attract little pay.
That to make it a little wider so that they can canvass a relatively bigger period. A span of about 3 to 4, 5 years. We needed to enlarge that. That is still work in progress. But also the other challenge we are faced with is poor remuneration. As I said, the least paid are getting 6,000 per day.
Actually, a gap in cleaning the city. Much as our friends, the community circle, we are doing some work, but there were gaps identified. Now, what happened was around that time they did not have a contract. But now KCCA was trying to formalize the procurement process for cleaning the city, and that is how now we decided to participate under the procurement process that is under PPDA Act, and then we participated in the procurement of the job, and then we got it.
Amidst reduction in revenue collections at KCCA, the need to reduce the numbers of city cleaners was timely.
So we developed a schedule, and because these are casual workers, we developed a payment schedule. To be able to maintain our members, we developed a schedule that today, if one member gets salary, we give another member an opportunity. So in that 648, this time we only have about 300 people working in the constituency, simply because of the budget. That is what the contract, that is what KCCA budget can handle. Road, for example, Lukuli is one of the longest roads. It will, for example, require over 78 workers. That is only one road. But remember, the roads that we're supposed to clean are over 35 roads. Divide that by only 200 sweepers.
The reflector jackets are overused and many have faded. They can no longer reflect, hence exposing many to road accidents. With the small wages given to them, they are not entitled to any form of health insurance to cover emergency hazards they encounter in the wee morning hours while on job. To the contrary, the Director of Public Health says they can access treatment from the KCCA health facility in the city. In the previous contract of 2024-25, the cleaners could ask for funds from KCCA to procure personal protective gears for safety while on job. In the arrangement of the 2025-26, KCCA reserved the procurement to themselves. However, what's boggling cleaners in the current state of affairs are delays in receiving their PPEs.
Reflectors, when people are washed by rain, they fade. They get the material is so lean that sun, heat and rain, when washed, they sort of like fade, and therefore they enlarge themselves and they get old. So our people cannot have reflectors anymore, and that has caused so many of them to get accidents. Gumboots, in that filth where people release sewage every now and again when it is raining, you realize the people who are supposed to go down there to work don't have gumboots, or the gumboots that we procured then in the previous contract, using the previous contract funds, have long been depleted. Last month, that was the month of February, we had over 7 accidents, fatal, serious ones.
That equipment is not readily available, largely on account of inadequate funding, to the extent that majority will work without gumboots, without gloves, reflector jackets and so on, which are very, very critical in giving sufficient protection to these vulnerable members of our community. They also have a challenge of getting the tools. Some even have to dig into their pockets to buy brooms.
Despite complaints on safety and health of the city cleaners, the delay of garbage trucks to pick piles of garbage in the streets of Kampala and neighboring suburbs is another elephant in the house.
They delay to come. Now it will rain, dogs will come, disorganize the rubbish, and then you find it littered again. Then someone may wonder if we have not worked. Come and ask maybe for 1,000 or 2,000. And these are people not known to us. So they pick this garbage and then they go and pour it in the drainage, in the drainages that we have already cleaned.
The Deputy Executive Director, KCCA, Benon Chigenyi, says in the financial year 2025-26, KCCA was allocated only 14.8 billion shillings, yet it needs 20 billion shillings annually to do desilting drainage channels, landscaping and payment of wages for cleaners.
For roads cleaning across the divisions, we needed 14.8 billion shillings, and we have received this. This will enable us to ensure that we keep with the process of ensuring a clean city.
If you look at the budget, honestly speaking, it can only cater for people's wages. And there is need for government to rethink. To push it a little, it will be like 20 billion to comfortably make sure that the people would, everyone, including the community circle and 7 Hills, because I know communities.
They gave us that they would boost this revenue, this budget line, which has stagnated around 15 billion, including the administrative costs. Not all of it goes to the actual work or to facilitate the work. Some of it goes towards the administration, or goes towards addressing administrative costs. So they promised that there would be a boost of around 6 billion.
Kampala Capital City Authority was supported with a modern truck from JICA that sweep and wash only Kampala flyover area. But this isn't enough. The authority needs more money to procure modern trucks that can sweep and mop roads in Kampala.
It's necessary that we take the direction of mechanization, of adopting new technology or adapting to the new technology that is required to provide the cleaning services. Unfortunately, our budget line cannot support those wonderful ideas and projections we are having. Save for the smaller interventions that were made by JICA when they constructed the flyover here. There are some equipments that we purchased, and currently they have been handed over to us by UNRWA. They are under our management and control right now for keeping that particular corridor clean.
At the center of managing resources at KCCA, the entity suffered a deficit of 15 billion shillings, which the State Minister for Kampala, Kabuye Togabye, says was due to the outstanding areas of city cleaners.
We thank government which has added us resources to address the issues of cleaners. You remember last time we had constant demonstrations out from the cleaners. Now we've got funds because we are having a deficit of 15 billion. And some of it was because of the cleaners. Now we've got an extra 10 billion, which is going to help in the payment of both those teams, and also been enhanced in terms of roads and in terms of drainages. And
cleaning the city requires collaborative efforts of all stakeholders like cleaners, garbage collectors, and the sensitization of the communities on best practices of garbage handling. I'm Nafka Farida and Dan Lugemwa in Kampala.
Big think about the MTN Super. Wali yakapia musite wali yakapia. MTN kabo the Super mustairompia. Then you kabo the smartphone nebi yakabibiona. MTN kabo the Super mustairompia. Then you kabo the smartphone nebi yakabibiona.
Get the new Kabode Super smartphone and enjoy 16 GB free. Start with a deposit of only 45,000 Uganda shillings and pay the rest in daily installments of less than 1K. You can also make weekly and monthly installments. Together, our vibes are unstoppable. Terms and conditions apply. MTN. MTN is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
The Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, is wholly owned by the government of Uganda and was established to safeguard and promote Uganda's commercial interests in the petroleum sector. UNOC has two subsidiaries, the Uganda Refinery Holding Company, URHC, which will hold a 40% stake in the 60,000 barrel per day refinery and manage the development of Kabalega Industrial Park, and the National Pipeline Company Limited, NPC, in charge of pipelines, storage, and downstream business ventures. This subsidiary holds 15% interest in the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, ECOP. ECOP is a 1,445-kilometer long pipeline that will transport crude oil through 10 districts in Uganda to the port of Tanga in Tanzania. UNOC is also actively engaged in crude oil exploration, development, and production activities, and its participation role includes a 15% stake in the Tilenga, Nwoya, and Bulisa, and Kingfisher Development Projects, Chikure. UNOC also holds the exploration license for Kasuruban Block in Hoima, Bulisa, and Masindi. UNOC currently owns and manages the Ginger Storage Terminal and will build a 320 million litre capacity terminal in MPG called the Kampala Storage Terminal. At UNOC, we're harnessing the potential of Uganda's petroleum resources, forging a sustainable future and preserving the natural beauty of Uganda. UNOC, your partner in Uganda's oil and gas industry.
Special announcement from the Baseline Education Census 2025. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and Sports, is conducting the Baseline Education Census 2025. This exercise will cover all learning institutions in the country for both government and private establishments, namely pre-primary, primary, secondary, vocational, and higher institutions of learning. The Baseline Education Census exercise data collection is being conducted in a phased manner, starting with Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area, comprising of districts of Kampala, Mukono, and Wakiso. The rollout to all other regions will commence at the beginning of second term. The Baseline Education Census collects information on learners, teachers, and school facilities to facilitate planning and policy decisions in the education sector. Uganda Bureau of Statistics appeals to the general public, heads of schools and institutions, as well as the local government authorities to cooperate with the BEC enumerators. In a special way, UBOS appeals to all parents of the learners to support the exercise by availing learners with their correct date of birth, national identification number, and learner's identification number. For more information, please call 0772 933 628 or 0743 787 189 from Dr. Chris Mukiza, Executive Director.
NCBA Bank and Motor Care Uganda have launched a strategic partnership to make zero-mileage vehicles accessible to middle and upper-class Ugandans, countering the environmental and health hazards posed by second-hand cars dominating Kampala's roads. Your Dream Today campaign offers up to 100% financing, a 2-month repayment holiday, and a subsidized insurance targeting individuals earning at least 5 million monthly.
Out of 10 customers that go to the bond, 3 of them buy vehicles that are 100 million and above. Did you know that? Out of 10 customers that go to the bond to buy vehicles, those vehicles in the bond, by the way, are not brand new vehicles. So they contribute a lot of pollution to this environment.
This initiative responds to alarming findings, which attribute over 90% of air and noise pollution in Kampala's central business district to motor vehicles, predominantly second-hand imports.
We are committed to changing the narrative around the pollution that is happening in our country. Now, what we are saying is that if you have a second-hand vehicle, those cash flows that you are talking about when you buy a second-hand vehicle, the problems that you are going to have, convert those cash flows into repayment of the facility.
Uganda imports 22,000 vehicles annually, with 19,000 being used cars, many older than 8 years. These incur over 100% taxes, levies on their value alongside frequent maintenance costs.
So you pay 25% import duty, 1.5% infrastructure levy, 6% withholding tax, 18% VAT, and if a vehicle is 8 years and above, there is an environmental levy of about 17 or 20, yeah? So if you do 20, 8 years and more, 20% plus 25, that's 45, plus 6, plus 18, plus 1.5, your taxes are close to 100%.
The partnership aims to finance 100-plus vehicles initially, targeting a 30% shift from used to new cars. Wadulo, Anold, Mark, UBC News in Kampala. Sugarcane farmers in Busoga have welcomed the establishment of Day Biostarch factory in Kamuli, which will solve sugarcane challenges, poverty and hunger. The multi-billion factory will produce biostarch out of cassava and ethanol out of the cassava byproducts.
For several years, sugarcane farmers in Busoga region have been worried about exploitation by sugar factories.
First of all, we have to thank Day by Farmer through Dr. Magola for bringing this project to Busoga. Also, have to thank His Excellency, the President of this nation, because the government is supporting these projects, we are aware. And the President is also willing to support the farmers to produce ethanol in cooperation with Day by Farmer.
The project it is really promising. My appeal to my fellow farmers, let's just put in effort in growing cassava, much of it. People are living in sugarcane, they want to put cassava now. Because sugarcane takes a number of months, but this cassava, it takes some less than 1 year.
I'm expecting to get more farmers, more especially those that are going to plant cassava, than planting sugarcane, because sugarcane is very expensive to buy CDC, what.
The commercialization of cassava will require 500 tons of raw cassava for biostarch and ethanol extraction daily.
Because of the presence of the ferry, where there is a deficit, Northern Uganda will chip in and Teso will chip in to meet the supply gap. So we are not limited to Busoga. This is a factory for Uganda.
With proper agronomic practices, an acre of cassava can generate 6 million shillings within 9 months, while the same acre can produce about 3.5 million shillings on sugar within 1 year and 6 months. So far, farmers are diverting to cassava growing. The project manager Day Biofarmer Kamuli Project Magola Richard tipped the Busoga on the cassava factory.
Continuous tuende ekintu nga kiri kuida buli lunaku tutagemerwa fitina nga banaife
abali veru ibalifuna esente gano nga balina nawe ffe timulikola ki mwebale kuida mwebale ino.
Located about 35 kilometers from Kamuli town, Busambu Namasagali sub-county in Kamuli district, the construction of the biostarch factory is at about 70% completion. I'm Bantu Machawe Semambo and Sam Katandi for UBC News.
Big thing about the MTN Super. Wali yakapia musite wali yakapia. MTN kabo the super mustairo mpia. Then you kabo the smartphone nebi akabibiona. MTN kabo the super mustairo mpia. Then you can buy the smartphone nebi akabibiona.
Get the new Kabode Super smartphone and enjoy 16 GB free. Start with a deposit of only 45,000 Uganda shillings and pay the rest mpola in daily installments of less than 1K. You can also make weekly and monthly installments. Together, our vibes are unstoppable. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN.
MTN is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
And in sports, the 2025 Federated Great Thinkers School Chase Championship has climaxed with action hosted at Kampala Academy Primary School in Kisasi.
Some of the country's best chess players have taken part in the Great Thinkers Schools Chess Championship hosted at Kampala Academy Primary School in Kisasi. It was contested over 7 rounds in both genders with players categorized in the age brackets of under 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17 and 19 under the Swiss system.
The tournament is aimed at making sure the children improve their performance in class, improving their concentration, make new friends, get a lot of exposure, and many more as looked at in the new curriculum by the Ministry of Education.
In the open category, Ronald Wabwire was the best in the under 11 category, and Kids Pioneer Primary School's Fahim Mutebi triumphed among the under 13s. Other winners were Manzi Munanuche, Akut Deng, and Edwin Pido in the under 19.
I inspire my friends to also join the game of chess so that they may also win the prizes I've got.
In the girls category, Suhana Anil won the under 13 category. Elizabeth Sassi beat all under 15s, and Tosha Torana bettered all under 11s. Others that excelled were Sherry Ariel Agaba and Deborah Kakoza, who bossed the under 19s.
But through chess, I have gained leadership skills and I've gotten the confidence to become a prefect at school.
Peak Primary School's Abigail Yomwichi triumphed in the under 9s, with her schoolmate Precious Abasa edging the under 7s. Suhana Anil Yadev and Ronald Wabwire, who scored 7 out of 7 points, were the best players and took home laptops. Peak Primary School emerged overall best. St. Teresa Namagunga Primary School was second, with Kids Pioneer Primary School in third position.
So we appreciate people who have worked with us, the coaches, some food industries that gave us some snacks for the players. We also appreciate everyone that actually enabled our event to be successful.
Other schools in attendance included St. Andrew Kagwa Gombe SS Kawala, Kampala Diplomatic School, and Kampala Academy. Focus for most of these youngsters now turns to the Father Grimes National Schools Chess Championship that is due next month at Our Lady of Africa School in Namiryango.
And now to close off, Royal Doves Preschool in Bujuko off St. Tema Road hosted its inaugural Sports Day at Bujuko Catholic Church Field, marking a milestone for the institution, founded in 2021 post-COVID-19. Now the event, themed Work No Play Makes a Dull Child, drew nearly 350 attendees, including parents, teachers and pupils from P1 to P3, fostering community bonding and promoting physical fitness among the young learners.
The sports day featured vibrant competitions among 4 teams: yellow doves, orange doves, blue doves, and red doves. Parents cheered as pupils showcased teamwork and enthusiasm, embodying the school's commitment to holistic development.
I'm seeing a very big difference. Royal Dove is a class above, and I'm very sure
in the next few years to come, the school is going to be one of the best schools in this area. Why? When you see the way they are doing their things, they are very organized. I rarely see a school that makes parents to put on uniform.
Red Dove emphasizes balancing academics with extracurricular engagement. The Sports Day, now slated as an annual event, aims to nurture healthy lifestyles and peer camaraderie.
We thank God for everything, and God has brought us from far, and we are 4 years old. Red Doves is 4 years old, but we have really beaten it, we have really done it, and this has been our first sports day, and we thank God. It has been colorful, it has been massive. I thank my little ones for the great job, they have really done it.
The school's leadership highlighted plans to expand sports offerings as the institution grows.
As we all know that under the rules of Ministry of Education and Sports, they brought the sports to enhance the children's brain, because wherever they play, they get to be socializing with the community and their minds to settle peacefully and happy.
We are a child-centered school and looking at nurturing a fully packaged child. We look at different categories, and we are child-centered, and we do the Jolly Phonics approach when we're helping children with the Farm Reading Foundation.
Activities such as Get Ready for School, Team Tag, Fill the Jar and Chair Dance energized the children, with the Orange Doves clinching the inaugural trophy. Cayenne Faith, Mark Wadulo for ABC.
Yes, congratulations, Orange Doves, and that brings us to the end of our UBC News tonight. It's far past our time, so allow us wish you a lovely night. Have yourselves a good night.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.